Okay, hi, it's Megan, and making this video to get a lot off my mind because I've had a really bad day today, and I've done a lot of thinking about a lot of things. And so, what I want to start talking about is how, like, a non-hate and like just online hate in general. Made a video about this before, so I'm not gonna go on and keep preaching about it because people are gonna do what they're gonna do anyways. But it's honestly like, think about how many people kill themselves because of anonymous hate, like, or even not anonymous hate, in-person hate. Like, so many people take their lives because of that. Like, who are you? Okay, that's enough about that. But what I really want to talk about is I want to direct this video more towards myself. And yeah, that kind of sounds selfish, but it's not, I promise. Well, I get a lot of questions. I get a lot of hate. I get a lot of in-person hate. I get a lot of everything. I'm not a very well-liked person, or so my mind tries to tell me I'm not. I want to talk about depression, and I want to talk about how you really feel when you're depressed and when you struggle with disorders and addiction. So I'm going to start off with I've struggled with depression since I was like 4 years old. I really have too. Severe depression. And I have a self-harm addiction. I cut and I hit myself and I burn myself. And I have an eating disorder. I actually have more than one eating disorder. And I have an anxiety disorder and an attachment disorder and a mood disorder. And honestly, things get pretty hard sometimes with them because a lot of people in this world don't understand what it's like to deal with that, and they think that all these kids nowadays just want sympathy, they just want attention, and I get that question, I get that hate, I get it all the time. It's my favorite because honestly, I don't want attention. I don't want sympathy. I've gotten enough sympathy in my life to last me a lifetime. I really have. Ever since I was little, I can remember people saying they feel bad for me and all this stuff. And it's like, like, I don't want people to feel bad for me because they have their own life and their own struggles. That's not what I want at all. It's the funniest thing ever, though. What I want in my lifetime is to get better. And recovery for these addictions and these disorders are very hard. And honestly, like, when people hate on other people when they have these kinds of things, especially depression and like insecurities, which I have so many. Like, I'm so insecure about everything about myself. There's not one thing that I'm secure about and know that I'm good at or know that I do well or I look well. Like, no. Like, not one thing. Because people have sat there to the point to pick me apart ever since I was little. And, like, yeah, I do. I mean, like, I get compliments. I get compliments all the time. And I cannot take a compliment till this day. And I probably never will be able to honestly take a compliment because of what I think about myself. And that's honestly the hardest thing in the world. Like, I wish I had confidence. So many people think I have confidence. But I really do not at all. I sit there in the mirror every day and pick myself apart to my bones. Even past my bones. It's ridiculous. But anyways, when you pick on people that have these kinds of disorders and these kinds of problems, you make them 10 times worse. If their head is not already pushing them over the edge, you will be pushing them over the edge. I've tried to kill myself 10 times in the past year. And I'm only 15. And for me to sit back and honestly think about that, it's heartbreaking because I never used to be that bad. But people, they sit there and they pick you apart and they make you feel like you're worthless. And then slowly, you just think you're worthless and you really believe it. And you really just, it's so hard to go back to thinking that you have a purpose and that you're worth something. And people think it's so easy to just be like, oh, you're so worth it, da 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 da, and send like the sweetest messages to you just to try to make you feel better. And it's like, you know, you feel better for 10 minutes and then you start thinking you're worthless again. And that's because your own mind is trained to think that. You think, oh, you know, they just want attention, they just want to hear that they're pretty, they just want to hear that they're worth it, and that is not it. Because people with these disorders still will take compliments, will take anything, will just be like, thanks, you know. A lot of people don't put up a fight for it because people get annoyed and they still feel worthless. It's honestly, like, probably the hardest thing to deal with. I get a lot of questions about my life, I get a lot of hate about my life and all my mistakes and everything. Let me just point this out to you, okay? Ever since I was 4, I've been depressed. I was diagnosed with depression when I was 4 years old. And that is before I even got into school. My parents were very severe drug addicts ever since I was younger. And I was sexually molested once when I was little and multiple times in the 6th grade. I was raped last year. That I got hate about that too, saying I lied, and that is just, it's ridiculous. But anyways, I've had a self-harm addiction and an eating disorder since the 6th grade. I was 11 years old when I developed this. And I just always developed it because people just picked me apart. 6th grade. That just honestly, like, breaks my own heart to know that I got that bad in 6th grade. And it's so stupid for people to do this. And, you know, you can sit there and you can tell me all these things about me and what you hate about me, but I'm not going to listen to it anymore because my own head tells me the same things you're saying all the time. When I'm trying to sleep, when I'm showering, when I'm walking in school, when you don't have to tell me. I know. Like, I know my own flaws. I know what I hate about myself. I hate everything about myself. But for you to remind me, or anyone to remind me, is the hardest thing ever. It's worse than my own thoughts, to be honest. And sure, you're all gonna, everyone that watches this is probably just gonna think, especially people from my school, or that know me, that I want sympathy and that I want attention, and I don't. I honestly do not. I don't need your attention. I don't need your sympathy. I don't need anything. The only thing I need to do is get better. And this video is just simply stating, like, what you all do to me. And what you all do to everybody else that feels the same way as me. You can't just sit there and pick apart a person. You realize you're going to leave damage on them for the rest of their life. How do you feel about that? When they're 30, they're going to remember that, oh, so-and-so from the junior class picked me apart. I did all these things. I developed these disorders. Especially for the people that have already had these disorders in advance. Like, what makes you feel good about yourself by saying that someone else isn't good enough? Like, I feel worthless to the point where every day I don't even want to wake up. And that scares me. Like, honestly, today I sat down after my anxiety attack and after I came home from school, and I'm putting myself in recovery because I do not want to kill myself or attempt to kill myself ever again. I don't want to ever take a blade to my skin. I don't want to ever feel this shitty ever again because it's the worst thing in the world. I'd rather be punched multiple times in the face. I'd rather my bones break than feel this emotionally stressed and this terrible about myself. So I guess my point of this video is pretty much just to say that, next time you go to pick on someone because of their flaws or because of anything, just remember that they could be depressed, they could be anything, and you might set them over the edge. You might make them have their first attempt at killing themselves or their multiple attempt at killing themselves. if you didn't sit there and hate on people, anyone, I'm not saying I'm perfect, I've done it, everybody's done it. You can't say you never have. You might be the nicest person in the world and you still got annoyed and said something to someone. But you know, make an effort if you have to apologize and let that person know that they are worth it. Because you could have made someone feel worthless. And that, honestly, is the worst feeling ever. So pretty much what I'm trying to say is that think before what you say. Because depression, seriously, the hardest struggle ever. And not many people make it out. A lot of people end up taking their own precious lives because of it. And all I'm saying is that you just shouldn't do that because it's terrible. And people that deal with this stuff anyways do it to themselves. They think about everything you're saying before you even say it. So next time, just try to help someone out. No matter how weird you think they are or how upset, just be a friend because you could change that one person's life and make them not go over the edge.